All right, Leo, thanks for tuning in to your November of 2014 horoscope. My name is Athen, and let's have a look. So generally what we've got is we've got an emphasis this month on your fourth house of home and family and past, and also of emotions and our connection to our roots and that sort of thing. You know, fourth house is the bottom of the chart and has to do with our placement, our roots, where we're anchored. And it's essentially our inner temple. It's our inner emotional state, our inner spiritual state. And so Saturn is changing signs this month and going into your guys' fourth house. So for the next 2.5 years, there's going to be an emphasis on becoming masterful with the inner temple. You know, being basically a master of your spiritual, what's going on inside, and that's a spiritual mastery that comes from this. And you guys have had Saturn transiting your third house of communications and day-to-day activities and teaching and learning and all these sorts of things. So over the past 2.5 years, perhaps there's always a lift when Saturn changes signs, and perhaps there's been a sort of restriction or stern teacher, you might say, is the energy that's kind of looking over how you speak and communicate, making sure that everything is proper and perfect. Well, he's going to leave there, so there should be a little bit of a lift. And for those of you that, you know, worked hard in that area, perhaps through opportunities, through sales, through teaching or communicating, you know, then that's a Saturn transit. When he leaves, then there's usually, you know, a time when you can look back and say, wow, I actually accomplished a lot in that area. But in either case, it just depends on our personal charts, how we've, you know, associated with that energy. But now going into the fourth, we have an opportunity to really become that master of our inner temple, like I've been talking about, having that control over our feelings and our emotions, and using that, because there's a tremendous amount of power, really, when we're able to you know, keep a good firm grip on what's going on inside, and then we're able to achieve and do pretty much anything on the outside by using the feelings on the inside. The way I like to think of it is, you know, manifestation, a huge part of manifestation is how we feel. And so if we're able to, you know, in essence, control, because that's what Saturn does, it's control, it's mastery, we're able to master how we feel. And this is, of course, what I'm talking about here is, you know, the sacral chakra mostly, which is, you know, how we feel, you know, based on our conditioning and past lives and these sorts of things, and able to utilize that in a way that's constructive and beneficial for our big plans and our big goals. So it's a tremendous amount of power when Saturn's transiting that fourth house, because if we have that mastery over how we feel, then we have a tremendous mastery over our lives. And this is going to be for the next 2.5 years. Now, on a more mundane level, this has to do with home and family. So some of us might start, you know, Leos out there might actually start a family, or get more serious with the family, or connect to the family in a much more disciplined and, you know, mature way. And in terms of home, a lot of us might actually be restructuring the home, getting, you know, things in order around the home for the next 2.5 years, that sort of thing. Changing location even, perhaps, especially if it's business related or work related. Now, what's interesting about this switch of Saturn, this is happening on the 2nd, is that all the Sun, Venus, and Mercury, all the fast-moving planets, are following Saturn into the fourth house, which doesn't normally happen. So from an astrological standpoint, you know, that really stands out to me. And the first thing that stands out is the fact that Venus is the first to go in there. And usually when Venus leads the way into a sign like this, it's usually because it's an indicator that we're wanting to make those, we're ready to shift. And so I feel like there's a wanting, you guys are ready to make these, you know, this disciplined approach, this whatever you guys are building in the home family area, you're wanting to do that, and this month is going to be a pivotal moment where things start to shift. And it starts with Venus, and you guys enjoying that. And I think relationships are associated with that. Well, they almost always are when it's fourth house related. So building the relationships and, like I said, getting more mature with them, but that's leading into building the family and the home and that sort of thing. And then the Sun's going in there next, which is about, you know, our expression and coming alive in our energy. So there's a tremendous amount of energy that can be gained this month. While there's pleasure that can be gained with Venus, now there's you know, energy, which is our vitality energy, which can be gained through doing stuff around the home with family and that sort of thing. Then Mercury changes signs towards mid to end part of the month, and that'll be about communicating and working out the details and getting into the mundane aspects of that. But in either case, there's a strong emphasis on that fourth house this month, and this is really leading the way for the next 2.5 years. Now, Saturn also rules your guys' 6th house and your 7th house. So again, with the 7th, there's relationships. So a strong emphasis on the relationships here, I really feel, wanting to get more mature like I'm saying, but also enjoying them, because Venus transiting over the 7th house ruler is usually, and especially the Sun too, is actually a time of really enjoying our relationships. So there's a strong emphasis on that. So I really want to say enjoy those relationships, guys. You know, existing ones and perhaps new ones. You know, and with the Sun going over Saturn, this might be a romantic period where you might meet someone new or spice up existing relationships. Now, also about that 7th house relationship stuff, I do want to mention is that we have Neptune and Chiron, which are in your 7th house in Aquarius, going station direct this month. Now, this is, you know, over the past 5 months or so, there's been, you know, reflection and just kind of a haze, because Neptune retrograde always creates a kind of haze and fogginess in a particular area. And that was in your 7th house. So if there, for those of you who've had any uncertainty or doubts or anything like that, where you're not able to see things as clearly in the relationship, especially over the past 5 months, no, things start to clear up. The fog starts to clear up a little bit. Neptune's still there, so Neptune's still, asking you to be faithful and trust in relationships and go with the flow and surrender in relationships. And when you do that, you're finding that that's very healing. And that's where Chiron's role comes into play. So there's a strong emphasis there, and I feel like this could be a shift there where a lot of you guys do feel healed actually in the relationship side of things, and things start to make a little bit more sense, and you know, you're able to maybe trust more and that sort of thing. So strong emphasis there. Now, in terms of your guys' 6th house with Saturn, this is your day-to-day activities. It's also your routine and your health, and work when it's done on a day-to-day level. So with all these aspects with Saturn, enjoy the day-to-day. This is really standing out with Venus and the Sun there. Enjoy the day-to-day, enjoy the health. Notice how when you take care of your health, there's a tremendous amount of vitality, when you're sleeping well, when you're eating well, that sort of thing. And just when everything's in order, when your survival needs are met and everything's structured in your life and you have extra time, you have more time to have fun, you know, and that sort of thing. And there is an emphasis on fun. Your 5th house is being activated. We've got an important aspect taking place. Mars is conjuncting Pluto, which has been transiting your 5th house. So this is energy, and the 5th house is fun, it's joy, it's also creative energy too. So for those of you who are involved in any type of creative projects, you know, since Pluto's been transiting there perhaps, or restructuring some projects or whatever it is, or anything that puts a smile on your face, you have a tremendous amount of energy to put that into it this month, especially around the 10th when this conjunction takes place. So channel that energy. It's going to be intense energy, very powerful energy for everybody. And for you guys, it's in that 5th house. So the key here is to really align it, concentrate it, have that control over it, and put it into a constructive area. And so if there's anything extra, any extra energy, you know, work it out through exercises or something like that, because it can be overwhelming at times. But the best use is when you're constructively using it into something. And in this sense, it's definitely something creative, something that's maybe a creative project or something of that nature. And if it's a hobby or whatever, then that's what it is. Put the energy into that. And then you'll find that when you do that, you're actually creating a tremendous amount of energy for you to put into other areas in your life as well. All right, so let's talk about the Sun, you know, in terms of the full moon and new moon. Last month, you know, the strong emphasis, like I've been saying, over the past 2.5 years, but also particularly last month, on your communications, on your day-to-day activities, on your, you know, 3rd house stuff. And that was emphasized last month by the Sun and Venus and all that transiting that sign, that part of your chart. So there's a shift now going from that, and then there's going to be a culmination taking place for you guys during the full moon, which is in your guys' 9th house. So whatever you've been putting energy into the thoughts, communications, teaching, learning, whatever it is, there's a wisdom being gained here. It's usually how this works with the full moon in the 9th after a 3rd house transit like this. So coming to an awareness of perhaps your path, because the 9th house does rule path, but it also, you know, it's more about just in general what expands your horizons and having that big picture perspective. So around the 6th, during this full moon, there's insight to be had that maybe is related to the path, but overall just in your whole life and being able to see the big picture and seeing all the opportunities that are there. So use this time to tap into that, because you Leos can really tap into these full moons, because there's, a lot of sun energy bouncing off the moon. So it's lots of inner and outer energy for you guys to utilize. So in terms of this, listen to those insights, listen to that guidance. Ninth house is also channeled information as well. So channeling, connecting to your higher self, these sorts of things around the 6th during this full moon in your ninth. Perhaps some of you might even come to a culmination in terms of university studies or anything philosophical or spiritual that you guys have been working on for a while. That's a time of culmination for that as well. So look out for that, and use the energy of that full moon, because that's positive energy when the full moon's in the ninth house and can be really utilized. It's optimistic energy, and like I said, it's big picture. So that's really helpful. When we have that perspective, we can channel it into other areas. And for you, it might be the home, it might be the routine, it might be relationships. Now later on in the month, we have the new moon, new beginnings, and this is happening on the 26th and the 22nd, and this is happening in your guys' fourth house. So that's why I feel like there's this slow progress now that's shifting into the fourth house. First it starts with wanting to create some structure there, then Venus is there, which is enjoying it, then the Sun's there, which is just vibrant and radiating with it, then Mercury's there with the communication, and then towards that time at the end of the month, then the new moon takes place there. So whatever that is, it's something new. That could be a new home. A lot of you might actually be moving in this month, or starting something new around the home, or perhaps a new family member, stuff like that, something new in that fourth house area. So use the 22nd to set intentions also, anything that's fourth house related, because that's a great time to do that sort of thing. All right, guys, so I'm going to draw a card and see where Spirit would like a little bit more emphasis. All right, Capricorn. All right, well, let's see. So Capricorn, is about that structure and that discipline, and that's everything Saturn related. But in terms of the actual sign, for you guys, it's your sixth house. So, you guys, like I'm saying, with all this aspect to Saturn, there is a strong emphasis on the routine, and you guys are naturally really grounded, and you guys have a very firm grip on the importance of taking care of the day-to-day activities, because when the day-to-days are taken care of, and there's all this abundance, which is earthly abundance that comes from that. So in terms of Capricorn, I think it's an indication to really stand into that masterfulness of it and see the big picture in terms of your routine. And when you take control, which is Capricorn mastery, control over the routine, then you're able to really create that structure, which then serves as a very solid foundation for everything else that you're working on, whether it's home, relationships, or whatever. So an emphasis, I think, extra there on the 6th, but overall with Capricorn, it's really being that master, being the top of the chart, realizing that you already have everything you need to make the things the way you want them to be. And that's the lesson of Capricorn is, it's remembering that you already have everything you need to get it done. So get it done. Take it one step at a time. Take it nice and slow. That's what Capricorn does best. But the constructive energy is there for you guys. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.